A powerful storm system is coming to the United States this weekend, which will bring the return of significant severe weather, which includes damaging winds, large hail, and tornadoes. There's also a large ridge that is building along the west coast of the United States that will bring much warmer weather to most of us across the country. So in today's forecast, we are going to break down exactly what you need to know about the weather that'll be impacting the United States over the next 7 days. And we'll begin with what's happening across the country today. And back along the East Coast, we still have a large trough that is moving for the most part offshore today, but some areas like Florida are still getting hammered by showers and thunderstorms, and there is even a low-end risk of severe weather as we go into the early afternoon today. But generally speaking, very low-end risk, and this will be moving out as we go into tomorrow. And back over to the west, we have a little bit of moisture that is moving right now across the Great Plains, which will lead to a low-end risk of severe weather today. The reason why it's coming all the way from the Pacific Northwest is because we have a large high-pressure system that is keeping things very warm and dry along the west coast until we go into tomorrow and Thursday. This high pressure system will move further east, and that's when the weather is going to get a lot more active across most of the lower 48. Now let's talk more about the weather pattern that'll be impacting the United States over the next 7 days. And to look at that, we are going to look at the jet stream. Right now we have a high pressure system that is located back along the west coast. This is keeping warmer and drier conditions in place for most areas west of the Great Plains, and in the low pressure system is back over in the Great Lakes, and our jet stream is still very strong, but it's lifted very far off to the north, which is also going to allow for a lot of warm air to build across most of the country. By Wednesday and Thursday, that high pressure system is moving into the Great Plains where warmer and drier weather will build. However, there will be a cutoff trough that's located underneath this ridge on Thursday and Friday, and this will allow for some showers and thunderstorms back over in the southern plains and even some localized flooding once we combine that with the Gulf moisture. It is going to be a key ingredient for thunderstorm development on Thursday back over in Texas, Louisiana, and Oklahoma. And then by Friday and Saturday, that low pressure system will be moving right along the Gulf Coast, still bringing some showers and thunderstorms. But what becomes a lot more concerning is what happens as we go into Saturday and Sunday. An intense trough will be moving across the Rockies, and this is expected to amplify and intensify as it moves into the Great Plains late Saturday into Sunday, and this could bring a widespread threat for severe weather across the Ohio Valley and the Great Plains on Sunday and as well as Monday, stretching from Kansas and Missouri all the way back to the East Coast. And this is expected to be about a 48-hour severe weather event that could be on the more significant side of things. And we'll talk more about the specific details on this event here in just a moment. And then eventually by next week, so as we go into early April, we are expecting an active weather pattern to continue with plenty of severe weather events on the horizon. And you don't see this very often, but the Storm Prediction Center has a huge risk of severe weather on Sunday already issued anywhere from the Ohio Valley back into the deep south. And just to put this into comparison, this is almost 400,000 square miles wide for a slight risk on the day 6 outlook. And historically speaking, that is one of the largest day 6 outlooks that we've ever seen when it comes to a risk of severe weather. So it gives you an idea that this is a pretty rare event already, at least when it comes to the amount of confidence that we have of severe storms happening. Now, on the other hand, we are expecting the threat here for some widespread severe storms. Not necessarily a widespread severe weather outbreak because we don't exactly know if that will happen yet, but all hazards of severe weather are on the table for Sunday, including damaging winds, large hail, and also tornadoes anywhere in the Ohio Valley back into the deep south. Sunday is definitely a day that you're going to want to make sure that you are staying weather aware and having multiple ways to receive alerts. We will almost undoubtedly be live almost all day Sunday covering severe weather, so make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Now, as we go into Monday, the risk of severe weather does move further east. The Storm Prediction Center does have a day 7 slight risk of severe storms from Virginia and Delaware back into Georgia and northern Florida, where more damaging winds, hail, and a couple of tornadoes will be possible. I do want to point out, if you watched our video from yesterday, there was a slight risk of severe weather that was in place for Saturday that was back over in parts of the central and southern plains. However, it looks like that we are going to have a capping issue in place, which essentially means that storms are going to struggle to develop in the central and southern plains on Saturday, which means that there's really no need for a risk outlined for right now, as it is a very conditional risk that severe storms would even happen. So our main days right now are Sunday and Monday. I do want to touch a bit more on the severe weather setup for this weekend. One of the key ingredients is going to be the low-level jet, which helps to amplify the amount of wind shear that leads to tornadoes. And notice as we go into Sunday, the low-level jet really kicks into gear back over in the Ohio Valley. And this is a large area of low-level winds that are strong across the entire Ohio Valley, Tennessee Valley, and even along the Mississippi River Valley, which is going to lead to a more organized risk of severe storms. And that's one of the reasons why Sunday is more concerning. We're not just talking about like that high risk that we had last weekend back over in the Dixie Alley. Instead, we are talking about a full-blown large area for severe storms. It might not necessarily live up to the scale of that Dixie Alley tornado outbreak, but this is a much larger and broader area that we are talking about for severe storms on Sunday. So you definitely want to make sure on Sunday that you are staying weather aware. And then by Monday, there will still be a chance for a couple of tornadoes along the East Coast, but overall the risk is going to be much lower after these storms refire east of the Appalachian Mountains. Another key ingredient is the amount of instability that we are going to have. And I do want to point out, even on Thursday and Friday, there will be some instability back over in Texas, which means that the atmosphere is unstable. That'll lead to the potential for some showers and thunderstorms that could even be on the severe side of things. So something to watch for if you're back over in South Texas, but a more organized risk of severe weather is expected as we go into the weekend. Saturday night, we're not really expecting much severe weather. Again, there's going to be a cap in place, which means that we have a temperature inversion a little bit off the ground, which is going to prevent storm clouds essentially from developing. So that's expected on Saturday. Very conditional risk of any severe weather. But on Sunday, all of that unstable air is going to move into the Ohio Valley and Tennessee Valley, and we will have plenty of instability for there to be severe weather anywhere from southern Michigan back to the Gulf Coast. And then by Monday, that instability access will be mainly across Virginia, the Carolinas, and back into northern Florida. And we'll talk more about this in a future video, but in the long term, we are anticipating the severe weather risk to stay elevated even into early to mid-April, with multiple severe weather events setting up back over in the central and southern plains. So buckle up, severe weather season is really about to kick into gear for most of the central and southern plains and the Dixie Alley. Now let's talk more about what's going to be happening over the next few days on the future radar, beginning with what's happening tomorrow. There will be some showers and thunderstorms in the Pacific Northwest. We actually could see even an isolated tornado risk evolve in northern Oregon or southern Washington. The risk overall is on the low side of things, but something to watch for. More than anything, damaging winds will be the concern. Cutoff low will be moving across the southern plains, mainly in Texas and also in Mexico, which will lead to some showers and thunderstorms beginning Wednesday in South Texas, but it really grows in size on Thursday, where more showers and thunderstorms will be happening in Texas. And then atmospheric river event will be impacting the West Coast on Thursday. By the time we go into Friday, that rain is expanding across the Gulf Coast and also in Texas, and there will still be some showers and thunderstorms back over in the Pacific Northwest, a little bit of snowfall as well in Canada. And then by the weekend, that is when things really start to kick into gear, where we have a large low pressure system that'll be forming back over in the central plains, showers and thunderstorms moving across the Dixie Alley, but severe weather is not currently a significant risk in this area. And then on Sunday, this storm really intensifies back over in the Ohio Valley, and storms will start to fire off in the Ohio Valley by noontime on Sunday, but it really becomes more organized by the mid to late afternoon and early evening, with a large area of showers and thunderstorms that'll mostly be focused in the Ohio Valley during the afternoon, but will fire off even as we go into the evening hours further down to the south, which goes as far south as the lower Mississippi River Valley. But notice how we have a lot of different thunderstorms out there. Generally speaking, it's just too early to put a specific detail in terms of timing for every single location, but I think it starts in the early to mid-afternoon in the Ohio Valley and will roll through the evening. And then if you're back over in Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, I think we're going to be talking more about a risk that's going to be starting around sunset, and then we'll go into the overnight hours. So this is going to be a long day, I think, for severe storms. Definitely make sure that you're staying weather aware. And then on Monday, the showers and thunderstorms will be moving east, where we'll only have just a few isolated severe storms left over from Virginia all the way back to the Gulf Coast. And then by the middle and end of next week, we're probably going to see even more big severe weather events that'll be impacting the country, but exactly where those happen and how intense those are very uncertain, as this is still well over 7 days from now. And spring is really about to be felt for most of the country by the end of the work week. This is by Friday. Well above average temperatures expected in the central and northern plains. There is a chance for record-breaking high temperatures even back over in the northern plains. Before that happens, we even have today record-breaking high temperatures over in Texas, where many areas will be in the 90s, so keep that in mind. By the weekend, that warm air transports to the east, so if you are looking forward to some wintry type weather in the northeast, which I doubt you were, there will be some warmer weather in place by Saturday and Sunday. And then by next work week, we'll be dealing with a little bit of colder weather on Monday and Tuesday across the Great Plains and the Ohio Valley, but this is nothing like an Arctic blast. We'll have temperatures drop probably around 15 to 20 degrees in most areas, and it'll feel a little bit more like winter, but again, we're really going into spring now, so there will not be much more wintry weather ahead here for most of the country. And as always, thank you all so much for watching today's forecast. If you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below. We'll have daily weather updates updates, especially since we have two different slight risks of severe weather already in place in the long term. I would anticipate that we'll at least have an enhanced risk of severe weather on Sunday in parts of the Ohio Valley and Tennessee Valley, and will more than likely be live at both Sunday and Monday. So make sure that you are subscribed to the channel down below and click the bell icon so you're notified with the latest updates. Thank you all again so much for watching, and we'll see you guys all again in the next forecast.